What's up, guys? Sometimes when I'm just sitting here doing preventive maintenance and cleaning on things, it gives me time to go back and revisit thoughts that I've had on different subjects and topics. And one of the things that enters my mind, excuse me, back in the day, might be considered the olden days for some of you young bucks. I used to could say that, but I can't put myself in that category much anymore. I digress. Back when I was growing up, and when I went through basic training, etc., all you had on firearms were iron sights or a magnified optic on, like a regular traditional scope, and that was it. That's all we shot with. That's all you had, even in the military. And over the past, well, I'd say probably since 2011, when the quote-unquote war on terror started, we made a lot of advancements in optics. And there was a huge shift towards red dots. Just a plain non-magnified red dot sight. And I'll freely admit, I was a little slow to make that transition myself. Once I did, I really liked it. I mean, it was easy to see the benefits that a good red dot sight had. But over time, as I've thought about it, and this has been on my mind for a while, and I just hadn't ever gotten around to being able to bring it up. The thoughts have occurred to me, have we, and by we I mean armed prepared citizens, have we become too focused on red dot sights in general, where maybe we should be focusing on things like iron sights or newer variable powered etched reticle magnified sights, such as the 1 to 4, 1 to 6, 1 to 8 type variables that Primary Arms offers, and another of other companies offer. I just mentioned Primary Arms because that's just who I really, really like. But should we as armed prepared citizens maybe be focusing more on those in iron sights versus red dot sights? And I freely say that as someone who has red dot sights on pretty much the majority of my go-to guns. And here's why I say that. Now, a modern red dot optic, be it Primary Arms, aim point, whatever, if you've got the battery in the Optic and 2 spare batteries, you're probably good for 20 years. Okay? That's a long time. So, realistically speaking, that's probably the case. We're probably safe in regards to battery life. However, where I've come to find red dots to be the most useful and advantageous, and let me break it down for those of you that are grammatically challenged, where I find red dots to be the most useful, my apologies for the rude interruption, telemarketers. As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, let me clarify what I'm saying. Where red dot sights tend to be the most effective meaning that's where they really shine at. Not that they're not effective in other areas. This is just the area where I find it to be the most effective at, is in close quarters work. Say 0 to 25 yards. Maybe even 0 to 15. That's where they tend to be the most effective at. They work at other distances, obviously. I've shot 200 plus yards with simple non-magnified red dot sights. We done fine. I'm just saying that that's where I think they're the most effective at. A couple of issues that I'm experiencing, much to my annoyance, and I'm wondering how many of you might be experiencing the same thing. When I was younger, I could see the hairs on a gnat's face at 300 yards easy with just my bare eyes. The eye doctor estimates it. When I was in basic training and showing off my shooting skills, and then a couple years after basic training, obviously, that I probably had 20/10 or better, probably, he said close probably to 25 vision in my eyes. I could just really see. But as I've gotten older, that's obviously degraded, just because time and age does that to you. The bigger issue that I personally have is that I'm in my right eye, I've developed pretty decent astigmatism. And I can work around it pretty doggone good, but it's definitely there, it's definitely noticeable, and it's quite aggravating, especially with me being as right eye dominant as I am. And what got me to thinking about this a while back was actually this optic right here. This is my primary arms 3X prism. The more I've been working with this, the more it has become readily apparent to me that I personally really benefit from this sight. My plain red dot sights really get screwed with that astigmatism, and it's hard to get an exact precise dot sometimes. Sometimes it looks like a cluster of 2 or 3 dots all touching, and trying to remember exactly which one is the main dot and which one's the fake dots can be a little aggravating, especially at distance. Up close, it's not that big of a deal. But at distance, 50, 100 yards, it can start to be a bit of an issue. With this etched reticle in this primary arm sight, I don't have that issue. Reticle's nice and clear, dot in the middle's nice and clear, everything's great. The fixed 3x magnification lets me bring things up a little closer, further out. And even though it's battery powered and illuminated, it's still a fixed etched reticle. So absolute worst case scenario, I don't have batteries, or, and we can debate later the likelihood or unlikelihood of it, I'm just putting this out for sake of discussion, something catastrophic like an EMP or something happens and renders the electronics in it useless, that etched reticle is always going to be there. It's unaffected by anything. Now, the same thing can be said for plain old iron sights. The iron sights are always going to be there. They're not reliant upon batteries or anything like that. And I think there can be something said for making sure you maintain your skills on those iron sights, because a lot of people have been killed over the years with iron sighted guns. And it's definitely, it requires more practice to use iron sights than it does a red dot or something like that. So, in teaching my sons and training them up and stuff, they're using optics, but I'm also having them work with those iron sights. So here's what I'm leading up to. Have we, as armed prepared citizens, are we putting too much focus and emphasis on having a red dot sight on our rifles? Now, obviously, for a close quarters gun or something, it makes a lot of sense. But for our general purpose, things have gone bad rifles like this. Does something like the primary arms, they've got 2X, the 3X, 5X, fixed power prism scopes with the etched reticles. You've got ACOGs that are fixed with etched reticles. And then, additionally, again, primary arms, whatever other company, there's a dozen different companies that offer them. The newer, by newer I mean relatively new, within the past X amount of years, variable power scopes that go from 1X to say 4, 6, or 8 that have etched reticles. That variable power one, in my mind, is starting to seem like the best all-around good choice. Because if I get something like what Primary Arms offers, where you've got a, say, 1 to 4, 1 to 6 variable power with an etched illuminated reticle, I can put it on 1X with the illumination and it acts like a traditional red dot. I can run it on 1X with just the black etched reticle and it works fine. Then if I need that magnification, just a simple turn of the dial, boom, I've got magnification. And I'm still retaining that etched reticle, so not relying on batteries. But if it's got an illumination capability, then you've got the opportunity to illuminate the reticle if you want it. I'm just starting to think that that might be a much smarter choice for a lot of us. I'm going to have to start giving some real strong consideration to that, because I think that can offer a lot of benefit. Now, one of the things that can offer, let me scoot up a little closer here. You can still use that 1x, like I said, at closer distances, but if you're out and you need to identify something a little further away, again, we're talking an armed prepared citizen here, you know, the crap's hit the fan kind of scenario, and I see somebody that's 100, 200 yards away. I don't want to give myself away, but I need to take a little closer look at them. You just simply twist that dial, and now I've got 4x, 6x, 8x magnification. Those longer shots suddenly become a lot easier. Being able to identify things at distance becomes a lot easier. Again, that etched reticle is what keeps singing to me, because those of us that are getting up here with the degrading eyesight because of age and all that, it just works so much better than just a single illuminated red dot. Same for iron sights. I've found myself getting back to using iron sights a lot more lately. I think we've become accustomed to try to do these teeny tiny, you know, groups at 50 or 100 yards with our guns. And maybe we should be focusing on being able to hit center mass of a man-sized target at 50 or 100 yards. That's going to be our more usable skill set. I mean, yeah, sure, being able to do those little tight quarter-size MOA groups is great, but is it necessary? Will we be just as, in the military you'd say combat effective? I think for this you could say that, or you could say defensively effective, whatever. If I can hit a normal sized man somewhere in the chest, you know, say an 8-inch circle at 100 yards with my rifle, is just kind of a general roundabout, you know, general purpose skill and setting. If you can do that with iron sights, I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think that really ups your ability to not be reliant on technology to an extent. And again, I know we're teeter-tottering here, but this has been on my mind. I wanted to get it out there and have you guys start thinking about it. And you know, I'd be interested to hear what y'all have to say and what y'all think. I'm giving real strong consideration to changing out some of my optics, just for that reason. My main go-to rifles, I plan on getting, I don't know how soon I'll be able to do it, but at some point soon, I want to get I like the idea of a 1:6. I think a 1:6 variable power with a fixed illuminated reticle, etched illuminated reticle, is where I want to try out and go and see how that works for me. Because I think that might be a good happy place, so to speak. So what do you guys think? You know, put it down there in the comments and keep it legit, guys. You know, I want this to be a beneficial, serious discussion. And be honest. Try to throw out your prejudices and sacred cows. We've all got them. The trick comes sometimes to be able to put them aside and see a bigger picture when we're thinking about things and open up our minds to other possibilities. So, having an iron-sighted gun, having a gun with a etched reticle scope on it, variable power or a low fixed power, is that where we need to be as armed, prepared citizens? I'm strongly leaning towards yes. I won't say that quite definitively just yet, but leaning real strong that way. So I'll let you know where I go with it. If anybody brings up any good points, we'll follow up on it. I will shut up now. Got some other stuff I got to go do. Take care, stay safe, and we'll catch you back soon in the next one.